one of the biggest issues that people have with their chipping is hitting that ball too heavy, chunking it, fat, whatever you want to call it. That is most often done because they lose the radius in their chipping stroke. I see 3 things in our golf schools that cause that, and today I'm going to go over all 3 of them and show you how to fix them. So as I discussed or mentioned in the intro, one of the biggest reasons that you hit your wedge shots chunks or blades across the green is you lose the radius of your stroke. And the radius would be, if you could imagine a circle drawn around you or an ellipse drawn around you, the radius is going to generate somewhere from this very close to your belly button or just to the target side of that. The club would be the radius of the swing. So the club length from you would really not get any further than it was at address. So if the butt end of my club in my hands was just a few inches away from me at the beginning, it stays at roughly that distance from me the entire swing. If there is any change in that radius, meaning there's an extension of the right arm or too much bending of the right arm, then something has to counteract that later on in the swing to either lengthen the radius or to shorten the radius. So I'm going to go over 3 things that are probably the most common reasons of why your radius gets disrupted and you hit the dreaded chunk shot just like that. One of them we described in one of our recent videos, and that is too much leg drive, where people start to get too much lateral motion in their swing. Lateral motion, otherwise known as frontal plane torque, is a great thing for your full swing. It's a terrible thing for your wedge game. And what that would most commonly be referred to, or many of you might understand that as, is your legs are driving too much. So when you do that, if the lower body and the legs go forward in the course of your swing, the upper body is going to have a tendency to drop backwards. And if that happens, your bottom out point happens too far behind the ball and you're going to hit the ball heavy. So in order to correct that, what you want to do is have a little bit more rotation to your pivot in your chipping, and as you come into the ball, you're going to have a little bit more stand up with your front leg, so your front leg is going to get straighter. So you have a little bit more rotation on the back and a little bit more standing up as you're coming through the ball, and allow your head to move upwards. Should look something like this: little rotation and a little up. What the up does is it counteracts you having such a steep descent of the club head or your angle of attack into the ball. So whether you follow short game chef Parker McLaughlin, or that prefers in the 3 to 5, I believe, downward angle attack, or you're in the James Ridyard camp, which James is about 5 or 6, or you're in a Joe Mayo camp where his students are going 10 to 12 down. Whatever you adhere to, the club is coming down, you're going to need it to start to level out very quickly, and you do that by pushing up with your target side leg and allowing the head to come up, which will bring the radius up. The handle comes up, and you can still have a steep angle of descent, yet still have a smooth impact and transition. So that's first. Second would be where the head moves down or tries to stay down, or you're bent over too long in your stroke. So in your chipping game, as you take your backswing, you do one of those. And if that looks familiar and you nod your head at home, that your chipping stroke or your wedge game, you're going to take it back and then you're do one of those, whether you or your friends do that, then that's what you're doing. You're staying in forward flexion too long. So again, the cure for that is, as you take your backstroke, you're going to push upwards with your target side leg. That will push the body more erect and allow your head to rise coming through impact. So you take your backstroke, and instead of going down and keeping the head down in your stroke, you're going to allow the left or the target side leg to straighten, which will allow the head to pop up. Just like that, and you hit it very crisp, picking it right off the ground or trapping it right off the ground and hitting those little nippers. Now the third one is where people tend to get their radius too long. So an example of that would be if you take your arms and you try to keep them extended for too long. So you're increasing the radius. Now if you increase the radius and you make your normal transition and unwind, because the radius is longer, you're going to have a tendency to stick it in the ground behind the ball, hence you're getting that fat chunky shot. So what you want to do in that instance, instead of letting the the trail arms stay straight for too long is if you set up and you have a slight bend to it, you're going to keep that bend as you make your backswing. So you notice I still have the same amount of bend in my arm at the top as I did at address. If you want to take it back straight, you're going to have to do something, meaning you're going to have to shorten or bend those arms to get back to the ball. Now you're highly reliant on timing. So once you come in, you have your setup. You can even lift the club up and have that bend in the trail arm. Go ahead and make your backswing and keep that bend, and go ahead and make your chipping motion. So those are 3 things. Again, that is a little more rotation and a little bit more up in the follow through, as opposed to too much leg drive where the upper body hangs back. Second, where you are in too much forward bend, or you try to keep the head down too long in the swing. In that instance, you're going to make your backswing. You're going to want to push your target side leg and allow the head to come up. So you're going to extend your body and not try to keep it flexed so long. And the third one is you're going to allow the trail arm to have some bend in it, and you're going to keep that bend in it the entire stroke and not allow it to get too straight and too wide the way that you might want it in your full swing. So if you're having trouble hitting chunks or blading them across the green, give those 3 things a try, and I'm sure it's going to make a big difference in your wedge game. Hey everybody, thank you for watching another one of our videos. If you found this useful and used it in your game, don't forget to click that like button and let us know down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out our podcast, one of the hottest podcasts in golf, Golf 360. If you'd like to watch another one of our videos or subscribe to our channel, you can do so right over here.